Man, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like we're hitting that point of the off-season where things can change fast. One minute everything feels calm around the league. The next minute you're hearing things that could completely shift the direction of multiple franchises. And today honestly feels like one of those days. Because we've got not one, but two major NBA stories that fans all across the league are paying attention to right now. The first one involves a situation that could end up shaking up the balance of power in a huge way if it actually gains real momentum. And the second story could impact teams across the entire NBA this summer, with big names, massive contracts, and some decisions that could completely reshape rosters before next season even begins. What's interesting is that both of these stories are connected by one thing: uncertainty. Nobody knows exactly how things are going to play out, but there are already plenty of people around the league talking, speculating, and trying to figure out what happens next. And if you're an NBA fan who loves following the drama, the rumors, the front office moves, and everything happening behind the scenes, trust me, you're going to want to stick around for both of these updates. But before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. And if you're new here, my name is Andrew. This channel is still brand new and we're trying to reach our first 100 subscribers. So if you're the kind of fan who loves talking basketball every day and wants to be here from the very beginning, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you with us. Now let's get into the first big story of the day. Alright, so let's start with the biggest rumor making waves around the NBA right now, and honestly, this is one of those stories that feels impossible to ignore. According to reports from 48 Minutes, the Dallas Mavericks have emerged as a potential trade destination for Joel Embiid if the Philadelphia 76ers decide to move on from him this offseason. And guys, that sentence alone is wild. Just think about where we are right now. The Sixers did make it to the Eastern Conference semifinals this season, but getting swept by the New York Knicks was a massive disappointment considering the expectations surrounding this team. Philadelphia believed they had a group capable of making a serious championship run. When healthy, the combination of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and VJ Gome looked dangerous. They even battled back from a 3-1 deficit against the Boston Celtics in the first round, showing resilience and toughness. But then came the Knicks, and the series wasn't particularly close. Philadelphia was eliminated. Questions immediately started surfacing. And now we're already seeing major organizational changes. Daryl Morey is out. Mike Gansey is in. And whenever a new front office takes over, everything gets reevaluated. Every player, every contract, every long-term plan. That's why this rumor is getting attention. Now to be clear, even the report itself suggests that trading Joel Embiid is probably one of the least likely options Philadelphia has on the table. But the fact that it's being discussed at all tells you something about where the franchise currently stands. Because this has been the same conversation for years. When Joel Embiid is healthy, he's still one of the most dominant players in basketball. This past season, when he was on the floor, he averaged 26.9 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and shot 48.9% from the field. Those are elite numbers. That's still superstar production. Nobody is questioning his talent. Nobody is questioning whether he can take over games. The problem has never been talent. The problem has always been availability. Over the last 3 seasons, Embiid has played just 96 regular season games total. Think about that, 96 games across 3 years. That's the dilemma that has haunted Philadelphia for a very long time. Because every time they believe they're building something special, injuries get in the way. And eventually organizations start asking difficult questions. Can we continue building around this player? Can we realistically expect him to stay healthy? Should we maximize his trade value before it's too late? Or do we stay patient and hope next season is finally different? According to the report, one front office executive specifically mentioned Dallas as a possible landing spot if Philadelphia decides to move Embiid. The reasoning is interesting. The report notes that Dallas has experience utilizing the NBA's disabled player insurance mechanisms under its new ownership structure, making the Mavericks a potentially logical team to take on a player carrying injury concerns. Now imagine that scenario for a second. Joel Embiid in Dallas. That immediately becomes one of the biggest stories in basketball. And whether you think it would work or not, there's no denying it would completely change the outlook for both franchises. From Philadelphia's perspective, there's another layer to all of this. At some point, many around the league expect the Sixers to transition toward building around Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. The question is simply when. Does that happen next year, 2 years from now? Or does it begin this offseason? That's the decision Mike Gansey and the new front office have to make. Because if they believe Maxey and Edgecombe are the future, moving Embiid while his value remains significant could accelerate that process. But on the other hand, if they still believe Embiid can stay healthy and perform at an MVP level, moving him could become one of the biggest mistakes in franchise history. And honestly, that's what makes this story so fascinating. There isn't an easy answer. You can make a strong argument either way. Personally, as a basketball fan, it's hard not to feel conflicted. When healthy, Joel Embiid is absolutely a player capable of carrying a franchise. We've seen it. We've watched him dominate games. We've watched him look completely unstoppable. But at the same time, the injury history isn't a small concern anymore. It's become the defining storyline of his career. And now Philadelphia has to decide whether they keep betting on that talent or finally turn the page. One thing is certain. With Mike Gansey now leading basketball operations, every possibility is going to be explored. And if rumors connecting Joel Embiid and the Dallas Mavericks continue gaining momentum, don't be surprised if this becomes one of the biggest stories of the entire offseason. But that's not the only major NBA development we need to talk about today. Because while teams are evaluating blockbuster trade possibilities, the upcoming free agency market is already starting to take shape. And some of the projected contracts being discussed right now are absolutely massive. Let's get into the second story.